On this edition of Cronkite Sports Report,
we take a look at the differences between two hard-hitting sports.
we meet a rowing coach focused on inclusivity.
A former Sun Devil wide receiver finds a new home.
We take a look at the connection between sport and our favorite tunes.
And a local business is finding success with a certain farm animal.
These stories coming your way now on Cronkite Sports Report.
Hello and welcome into Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Harry Croton.
And I'm Rachel Phillips. Our team at Arizona State University's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication looks to bring you unique stories with an Arizona connection.
We begin tonight with head injuries. They go hand in hand when playing in high-impact sports.
Over the years, there's been a real push for why this is and how to prevent it. I had a chance to take a look at the evolution of football safety. Rugby and football. One is considered a contact sport. The other, a collision sport. How can the fundamentals of one improve the safety of the other? The Kupu brothers, Orion, Roman and Hendrick, have seen the improvement firsthand. The trio started playing football 9 years ago. Now, they play at Higley. But they're not your average high school football players. For the past 5 years, they've also been playing rugby.
All our friends wanted to play rugby, so we started joining, and we just thought it was fun, running the ball, tackling people. Not
only did they fall in love with the game, but they gained some bonus benefits and took them to football.
It's taught me a lot. So, I feel way more confident with safety precautions, keeping my head, outside of the body, behind him, other than keeping it in there where I can take a knee to the face or go head first before the runner goes down.
In 2018, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission estimated that there were 454,407 sports-related head injuries treated in U.S. emergency rooms. Nearly 52,000 were a result of football, and just under 11,000 came from rugby and lacrosse. Dr. Evan Work, a sports medicine physician in Arizona, says the number one cause of sports-related concussions he treats are from football.
Football athletes with helmets and pads, the concern is that they just throw themselves out there and expect them to be protected.
Dr. Work says the keys to preventing concussions in football are avoiding tackling frequently in practice and teaching the appropriate tackling technique, a technique the Kupu brothers learn in rugby.
Hit where it bends, which is like their hips, and just changing, just running high and then pursuing the player with the ball and just changing my high level, just getting lower and just putting my head in the right spot.
Saguaro head coach Jason Mons learned the technique as a master trainer for USA Football and has traveled around the country teaching it.
People understand the dangers of the game and they're learning how to incorporate drills and how to properly teach the fundamentals that help keep players safe.
Higley head coach Eddie Zuby understands the risks associated with football, and this year brought on Atavis, a tackling technique company.
We're a better tackling team, and we're getting better as a program, so it's definitely helped us.
Atavis teaches football teams how to maximize performance and improve safety. The company is in 38 states, has worked with hundreds of high school programs, 15 colleges, 2 NFL teams, and has analyzed over 60,000 tackles. Rex Norris, head of football at Atavis, says 70% of all injuries happen in practice. To limit that, Atavis uses a 3-prong approach: technical, decision, and game-based tackling.
I've come across coaches that don't even teach tackling. They don't even teach it, ever, but they expect their players to go out and do it.
Norris explains that their process is like driving a car. After learning how to start the engine, you don't instantly drive on a freeway. Instead, you go through the neighborhood or a parking lot and slowly build your skill, not just train your technique.
If you look to maximize power and control in contact, then you are going to maximize safety.
Every single drill that we've done so far, I've seen it all before in rugby practice. Our coaches, they really strict on our safety, on where we put our head and making sure it's a heads-up tackle and we're leading it with our shoulder.
Atavis worked with the University of Nebraska in 2016 and saw a significant decline in games missed due to injury that year. Atavis also cut Nebraska's unnecessary head contact by nearly half. Norris attributes that to more accurate tackling.
There's a lot of things that cause injury, and it's not all related to tackling and all of those things. We get that. but we were a part of that improvement.
According to Norris and Mons, accuracy and safety go hand in hand.
There's been so much emphasis put on making the game safer and teaching the proper technique. And I've seen, I think, over the last 2 to 3 years, pretty drastic decline in the number of head injuries that we've had.
Rugby and football, two high-contact sports, where the fundamentals of one improves the safety of the other. According to the CDC, from 2013 to 2018, the rate of football-related concussion emergency department visits in children aged 5 to 17 years declined 39%. This was largely due to the implementation of contact limitations.
Inclusion and representation in sports is not only important, but necessary. Reporter Abigail Shipley spoke with an ASU coach who has created an atmosphere where anyone, regardless of race, gender, or sexuality, are welcomed.
ASU rowing coach Emron Malik has done more than just help his team win races. When he took the helm in 2016, Malik made it a priority to foster an inclusive culture for his athletes.
Throughout my years is always going to be homophobia and discrimination in sports. And I just wanted to make sure as a coach that I created that environment where that doesn't exist. And if it does exist, that it stops right when it starts.
It's important that a coach not just be willing to be accepting of your sexuality, but be willing to stand up for you, the people who might not be. Having Imran there means that we never have to worry about anything getting out of hand.
For Emron, creating a safe space for LGBTQ athletes is personal.
I was 16 when I was really starting to accept who I was as a gay person.
In the fall of 2012, Malik enrolled at ASU, where he was able to explore his sexual identity more freely.
I joined a gay fraternity, so it was the first time I started interacting with people like-minded, people who were kind of on the same journey as I was. And I also joined the rowing team as well, and really fell in love with the sport.
While Emron was finding a new way of life for himself in Arizona, the news was a surprise to his parents.
Going home for winter break that year, and my mom had found pictures of me online with the first guy I started dating and friends, and started being this huge question, and ultimately I came out. It just became this kind of thing that we didn't speak about ever again.
Malik's experience allows him to empathize with his athletes who might be apprehensive toward coming out.
You're on your own path, your own journey, and your own timeline. No one's going to force you to do anything that you're not comfortable with. So even if you've come out to just me and a few other friends, that's great. That's a great step. Don't feel pressure that you need to do anything that you don't feel comfortable with.
According to a 2017 study done by the Human Rights Campaign Foundation, 80% of gay, lesbian, and bisexual athletes have not come out to their coaches. For the 20% that have, it's important for coaches to create an open dialogue that lets their athletes know they can trust them.
When someone is coming out to you, you want to thank them for the trust. You want to acknowledge that this is a safe space for them, that they can confide in you, and that you're not going to share that information with others. Just because someone has come out to me, that doesn't mean that they have come out to the world.
Sid ZEIGLER, co-founder of Outsports, a sports news website focusing on LGBTQ issues, believes in the importance of an open dialogue between athletes and their coaches.
It's probably about 1,000 people that we've written about, a lot of them in college sports, and they all say the same thing, that they were very afraid of coming out. When they did come out, they had far more support from their coaches and staff and teammates than they thought they would, and their only regret is that they didn't do it sooner.
As Malik enters his 5th season with the team, one thing is for certain. He will be focused on winning titles while continuing to provide inclusiveness for his athletes. Abigail Shipley, Cronkite Sports Report.
It's great to see a school like ASU at the forefront of inclusion.
Coming up, we take a look at a connection between two of my favorite things, music and sport.
Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report.
What does the sound of music mean to you? It could be the background to your day, but to a fan, it can be the soundtrack of their favorite team.
And to an athlete, it's the motivation to the game they love the most.
Let the music play, whether it's during a morning run or a drive to work. It can help set the tone for the day. For athletes and sports fans, it creates an emotional experience for fans and helps an athlete get in rhythm for competition.
These relationships between sport and music are often very difficult to predict. If you really examine these two phenomena closely, you see that both are culturally pervasive, they both speak a universal language, and they're both all about emotions. And sometimes the two can just come together in such a seamless manner.
And when that happens, it can key in a memory that will last a lifetime.
I remember back when England hosted the European Soccer Championships, and they were drawn against old foes Germany in the semi-finals. And as the England team were coming onto the hallowed turf at Wembley, all you could hear was this roar of it served really to bridge the gap between a mere soccer tournament and a stage for the nation's hopes and dreams.
Fans' hopes and dreams for their team's success are eternal, and certain songs can harmonize into the tune of their culture.
And at the end of the day, it all kind of starts with the student body. They provide most of the energy in the stadium. If they're vibing something and they're reacting to something, the majority of the stadium's going to catch on, right? And they're going to, want to be involved as well. So, they're kind of the moving force.
Some songs may be decades old, but are timeless and filled with nostalgia for those in the stands.
Kids growing up, going to games, hear those things, and then, they continue to react to them when they come to games, and, you can hark back to your childhood.
According to Kara Georges, you should try and match your music tempo with your desired level to work. 120 beats per minute is the sweet spot for an athlete, or equivalent to a light jog. But what about when you drive? Well, your BPM would be around 80. Well, what about the heartbeat of a crowded stadium? Well, whatever it is, it keeps the athletes and the fans together.
Music brings people together, which is a huge thing for sports. Like, you want your fans to feel like they're in your game.
It helps set the mood, right? It gets you internally correct so that you can go be outwardly yourself.
Perhaps the most significant performance enhancer of them all is legal and injected into an athlete's ears, the sound of music.
You find that a lot of athletes will use music as a legal drug.
I would say music definitely dictates how I play. Like, if I don't listen to music before games, sometimes I can notice that I'm just a little bit flatlined.
I think it kind of just can take me away from kind of some thoughts and kind of just put me in a different mental zone to kind of compete.
Sometimes that's calm, sometimes it's pumped up, sometimes it's the lyrics, sometimes it's the meaning that you've associated before you even got to the space about this song. Everyone has a space that a song does something for them, and then that's how they use it, and then you have the habit strength of doing it over and over again, that it then becomes a ritual.
I hate to sound like a broken record, but music inspires in sports and in life. So let's keep that record broken and let the music keep on playing. Reed Harmon, Cronkite Sports Report.
The motor cortex in the brain regulates our coordination, like throwing a football or shooting a basketball.
It gives us some rhythm to our work, and music adds some grooves to our moves.
Coming up, we take a look at a wild trend in yoga.
Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report.
A new trend is goating around, and it's not any of the normal sports you're normally thinking of.
Sports reporter Jake Fitzgerald tells the story about Arizona's very own goat whisperer and her growing business.
In Gilbert, there is a growing trend that continues to expand around the world. And that is goat yoga.
Goat yoga is basically just how it sounds, yoga with goats. And it's pretty much the best day of your life. We do yoga poses and the goats will interact and jump on your backs and help you in stretching.
April Gould and Sarah Williams founded Arizona Goat Yoga back in 2015. growing their unique idea into a successful business.
Kind of like the ADD of yoga. I like to keep yoga entertaining and accessible to everyone. Sometimes yoga's a little intimidating for people to walk into a studio with a bunch of mirrors and people all ripped and whatever, you know. But goat yoga's not intimidating. Goats don't judge. Goats just love.
While attending Arizona Goat Yoga in Gilbert, participants are in for a unique opportunity to not only get up close and personal with goats, but also get professional yoga instruction.
It was different. I definitely didn't expect what came. A lot of goats, and they're like much more friendly than I thought they would be. Definitely a once in a lifetime experience.
In 2019, Arizona Goat Yoga entered the Guinness Book of World Records with 2 achievements: the fastest goat to run across a tunnel and the largest goat yoga class. Arizona Goat Yoga has gotten a lot of national attention, including from Nickelodeon.
The goats are going to be featured on a new Nickelodeon show. It's called Unleashed, and it is a fun family show of only animal talents. So our goats were on there during the talent show, and it was hilarious.
What do you have to say about being on Nickelodeon? Speechless.
Multiple notable names have attended Goat Yoga, including rock legend Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy Osbourne came to Goat Yoga. A&E was emailing us and they're like, we have this sweet father-son duo. They'd love to come to Goat Yoga. Would you guys have them? And we're like, sure, why not? They didn't tell us it was Ozzy Osbourne. And so we're just standing here and these camera guys come in and they leave the gate open. All the goats run out. And then Ozzy comes in and he's got Parkinson's, so he's walking a little bit slow. And they're like, be careful with Ozzy, like maybe just put little goats on it. But he was totally game for everything.
Both Sarah and April have been featured on American Ninja Warrior, and they have used that experience to further their Goat Yoga enterprise.
So I was on American Ninja Warrior, and I was training with my goats. I put them on my back and do squats and push-ups with them, and they dubbed me the Goat Whisperer. And that kind of is what started the whole thing. Then we met up with Sarah, and Sarah had this great idea to combine yoga with goats, and here we are today.
The Goat Yoga trend has grown around the world, and now other people are building off the idea of Goat Yoga. I guess it's true what April and Sarah say. There's no such thing as a bad idea. Jake Fitzgerald, Cronkite Sports Report.
Arizona Goat Yoga has recently added new features to their unique class.
Some of these include cow cuddling and alpaca kisses. That way no class is the same.
Coming up, we catch up with a football player who is carving his own path to success.
Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report.
Former Arizona State University wide receiver Angel Ruiz made a drastic change in his life.
This past summer, he took his skills and athletic abilities to the Gila River Hawks, a junior college football team. Cronkite reporter John Carlos Sands looks at the process of Angel's latest move.
After Angel Ruiz graduated from Sunrise Mountain High School in 2018, he made a commitment to ASU as a preferred walk-on, but realized it was time for a change 2 years later.
As a walk-on, you need the stuff going your way, and you need to be perfect. You know, you got to be above and beyond everyone else. I just don't think I was ready, honestly, to take so much on my plate coming out of high school. I wasn't fully prepared. And that's all on me. That's my fault. I ain't got no one to blame but me.
On July 14th, when Angel Ruiz entered his name into the transfer portal, it didn't take very long for the Gila River Hawks to grab him.
I had gotten a text from Coach Felker the day that Angel entered his name into the transfer portal. And yeah, they had sent me his stuff over. I watched it, and obviously it was trying to get him right away before anybody else did.
When a guy like that takes a preferred walk-on spot, a lot of times we keep track of him because we know that being a walk-on is not easy. With his ability and skill set, we thought that this would be a good opportunity for both him and us to come out and obviously add him to our team and make us a better football team, but give him an opportunity to get re-recruited again.
Angel picked up a lot of great skills and assets from ASU that have followed him into his new team with the Hawks.
Those guys are always a lot more crisp, with their route running, with their coachability, their understanding of, transitions through practice and just they've been coached. Plus, they're usually a lot more mature because they're older. You know, he's a couple years older now, so he's not the same high school kid he was as a senior. And you know, that a lot changes. You know, physically, mentally. You know, and plus being in a Division I weight program doesn't hurt either. That really helps.
His biggest strength is probably consistency catching the ball. You never really see him drop the ball. On top of that, I mean, speed, ability to make people miss. I mean, ability to make the big play happen. I mean, he's got, you know, a lot of the intangibles that you would want in a receiver. I mean, he's big and strong for his size and stature.
To just soak in so much knowledge and wisdom from all those people, it really helped me to become, you know, the football player I am and the man I am today. And I'm only growing and getting better each and every day.
While being on the Gila River Hawks is just another chapter for Angel, he believes his journey doesn't stop here.
You know, he gets another opportunity to showcase his skills and be picked up at the level that he wants. And I think he has the ability to do that.
When I go to my next university, I expect to make an impact real quick in the university and overall. Wherever it's at, I just want everyone to know that I'm going to give it my all, 100%, and I ain't going to look nothing back.
In Phoenix, John Carlos Saenz, Cronkite Sports Report.
If you want to catch Angel and the 2019 Conference Champs in action, visit one of their home games at Campo Verde High School in Gilbert.
That's all for this episode of Cronkite Sports Report. You can catch more of our content by heading over to cronkitenews.azpbs.org or following us on Twitter @SportsCronkite.
On behalf of the entire team, thanks for joining us.